Grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, 'cause real women don't bitch. No, real women don't. 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 Real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. Hey, ladies, how are you doing? Oh, man, so much is going on in the world right now. For those of you that didn't know, even though I'm from STL, which is St. Louis, Missouri, I am in Atlanta, in ATL. And we have been told they will be closing down the schools indefinitely, at least for 2 weeks, maybe after spring break, and that they're going to be closing the grocery stores. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just a huge transition. And so there's a lot of things on the internet. You know, one person had a post saying, 60,000 people have been cured of corona, but they're not putting that in the news. They're just talking about what states it's in, what countries, it's in, and how many people have died. And it's a much smaller number. And so I just been looking at everything that's been circulating about the post. I mean, whether or not you work for somebody or you're an entrepreneur, how do you make income outside of your job? There's a lot of things out there. And I just want to talk about what are you doing with what you have? And I'm saying this from the standpoint of protecting your assets. And do you even run a business that actually has assets? I had a really powerful conversation with a financial advisor who is in my summit, and we were talking about preventing the hardships that come with the ebb and flow of life in your business. And one of those things was disability insurance. Like, what happens because you're the #1 unique identifying factor in your business, and if you should go, or if you should be disabled and you can't do anything, what does that look like? And so something as simple as obtaining disability insurance and so on and so forth. And so I know that we can have this tendency to believe like, oh, well, all I got to do is get to making all of this money, or, oh, now I'm making more money in my business. I'm good. I got the lifestyle I want, the freedom I want. I don't have to pay for this, or I don't have to pay for that because I'm okay. And honestly, my heart goes out to you guys for the simple fact that there are people out there that get rich off of making sure that they preach and teach prosperity and abundance. And building a business has so many ups and downs, and it has so many twists and turns that you can't predict, that you don't need anything else thrown at you at all. And you definitely don't need to create anything that's going to spiral down on you. And so I had a conversation with a girlfriend, and
She's actually in the middle of an ugly separation, and she was mentioning that she wanted to find someone that could help her do a lease with an option to purchase for a house. And, some opinions or whatever, I pretty much kind of keep it to myself. In this situation, I'm going to talk to her. I'm actually recording this podcast before, me and her have had this discussion. But, I really want to ask her, what is the whole thing about not being humble while you're in the middle of, the ugly separation and living in an apartment? Why do you have to do a house with a lease option to purchase? You about to be a single mama. You know what I'm saying? And that means now if something happens to the washer or the dryer or the refrigerator, or if there's a random leak in the roof, you're going to have to pay for that. And so people will always tell you what you should do with your money and why you shouldn't be renting because you're paying, somebody else's property tax and you're investing in them, but you don't have any, land ownership of your own. But when you're building your business and moving forward, the last thing you need is any other additional stresses. It's a lot of people out here that'll say things like, I can't afford to invest, or it's just so hard in these streets, and you don't understand what we're going through, and if I could pay for this, or if I could afford insurance, I would do things differently. But you'll up and go get another car ASAP, and you could possibly do one car. It would be very uncomfortable. You wouldn't be able to come and go as you please. You'd have to wait for your spouse or your significant other to finish working, and who's going to take this one this way or that way. But you'll go out there and get the car, and the average person just doesn't even have good credit. You're going to pay you're going to pay for a car note. You're going to pay for car insurance, and you can't even invest in yourself yet. You can't even invest in the last thing you guys probably want me to say is stocks now, considering what's happening. But at the end of the day, just whatever. You can't invest in a disability insurance. You don't have the money. But you didn't have the money when you got the car either. But you're gonna energetically attract stressful situations to be able to still bring in that income. And so now, with coronavirus hitting, and yeah, some people, their jobs are telling them they're going to give them, 2 weeks paid leave and stuff like that. But baby, first of all, everybody's not getting that. Second of all, these schools are closing in a lot of these places, but these parents still have jobs where they haven't shut it down and they can't work from home. So what do? The situation is really sloppy and it's really ugly. And without judging anybody and saying, oh, well, that's why being an entrepreneur, was better. Because there's some people that's not going to pay what they used to pay for. And then some of you entrepreneurs are eating off of them because they are in panic mode and they're in survival mode. And you and I both know that instead of just, touching base and having conversations, people will abandon paying their bills. And the potential for it to be a hot mess, even for entrepreneurs, is real. Anybody can get caught up in this. I'm not saying this from a point of view being panicked or being afraid, because some of you, you're just fine. You're going to be okay, and this too shall pass. But everybody's story and situation is going to be different. And if you were exhausting your income in order to be able to live, then losing just one client is going to shake the fiber of your living situation. And that's something I really want you to take into consideration of how deep that is. That whole thing of living below your means is not a phrase for fucking poor people. Living below your means is not something for people that don't have money. You ain't got that much money in the first place, so you should live below your means. No, living below your means is for everybody. Just because you have $1 million business doesn't mean you should spend $1 million a year. Maybe your lifestyle between your house and your cars or whatever costs you $500,000, and that's with you paying for everything, but you're only living off of 50% of what you bring in. So my question is, were you prepared for this? And if it hasn't hit you yet, since you're going to have to get ready because you didn't stay ready, what does this look like for you? What does it look like for you to reverse what you're doing, because this may not affect you, but our great little grand government is always throwing shit out the pipeline. Yeah, they're always making stupid ass decisions that we don't agree with. For my conspiracy theorists, they're always creating epidemics and fear-based propaganda in order to move their agenda. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep on living your life doing business as usual? Or are you going to create and foster a lifestyle and a money mindset that is rooted in abundance on all levels? Because abundant living, you can have abundant living as a person with minimal income. There's abundance economically, but there's abundance spiritually, emotionally. There's abundance in the form of quality time and all of those amazing things. So just something for you all to think about, something for you to reflect on. Because I'm just looking at what's on social media and what's coming up. I don't even watch TV. I don't have live TV. I stream just a few things that I want to see. And, you know, being on social media, though, it's like being on the news because you see everything. And so through my feed, I can see the humor. I can see the nervous anxiety. I can see the tension. I can see the fear. I can feel the hope. I can see the I'm good. What the hell does this matter? I see it all. So for you listening to this podcast, which one are you? All right, I love you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. Signing out. Deuces.
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar.